Something bad waited for me, lurking just beyond the shadows. I could feel it like fire igniting deep in my bones as I peered through the darkened room of the bar where I worked, waiting for my shift to end. The burn had been incessant for days. The urge to burst out of my skin had strengthened as the hours ticked by, like if I could just figure out how, I'd be free from whatever it was that stalked me now. I hadn't felt this way since I'd broken free from the wretched path my life had been headed down years ago. Club dead might have been a dead-end job. No pun intended, but it beat the hell out of taking my clothes off to line someone else's pockets. To make matters worse, my mother had requested that I meet her for dinner, which was likely the reason these old feelings had resurfaced. I hadn't seen her since I'd accepted that she had never truly loved me, accepted that I was unlovable, and that no matter what I did, my life wasn't going to get any better until I got away from her. In order to cope with what was severely lacking in my life, I told myself that if a mother could not love her child, then love was something that didn't truly exist. Her addiction had squeezed the life out of normalcy for me when I was a child, but the gambling hadn't surfaced until I was a teenager. I'd stuck with her for far longer than I should have out of some naive sense of loyalty. Once I turned 18, she put me on the pole and took nearly every last dollar I made while I nearly starved as she fed her addictions and began to encourage them to grow within me. I'd never given in, but she never gave up in offering me things a mother should never offer her child. She's my mum, the only one I have, I'd told myself every time I started to work up the courage to leave. My father had bailed on me as a baby, and somewhere in this fucked-up mind of mine, I'd given my mother brownie points for not abandoning me like he had. I regretted every chance I'd ever given her, and had already started to regret agreeing to see her tonight. It was probably stupid to have cut my shift short just to meet with her. The likelihood that she had changed for the better was slim to none. Still, a part of me couldn't help but be hopeful that maybe this was the time she'd pull through it. Maybe this was the time she'd apologize for everything she had put me through and actually mean it. Her voice had been chipper, nothing like the voice I'd grown accustomed to that had swung wildly between rage and defeat, depending on the hour and circumstance. She'd promised she didn't want anything from me and had just missed me, but I hadn't extended an invitation to my apartment. Nothing good could come from her knowing where I lived, at least as far as I was concerned at the moment. Instead, I'd agreed to meet her at a restaurant downtown. Her treat, she'd said. I'm not too ashamed to admit that I felt like she owed me something, even if it was only a free meal. That, and I had been wanting a thick, juicy piece of meat for days, but hadn't gotten around to satisfying the craving. You'll never guess who just took a table in my section. Sabrina, one of the other waitresses, said, pulling me from my thoughts. Looks like he's waiting on someone, too. Maybe you. Her eyebrows jumped high as she grinned at me, like I should want to drop everything and go running to this man. Stop right there, I responded, putting my hand up before going back to wiping down the bar. He's probably here to meet with Lucien. That's usually why he's here. Oh, come on. You think we haven't all seen the way you two look at each other? You're the only one he ever talks to for longer than it takes to order. He might be here officially to speak to Lucien, but he's here to see you. Listen, love, I've got a lot of shit on my mind tonight. There is simply no room in my brain for any of that right now. Even if he is the hottest thing I've ever laid eyes on in my life.